To give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey!
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
We just want to party, just go. We just want to party, just go. Slipping now, don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America. Don't catch you slipping now. Don't catch you slipping now. Look what I'm whipping now. This is America.
And this is KBLA Talk 1580. You are listening to The Black Pack. I am your host, Adrianne Shropshire, and we are at the end of a very, very heavy week, which feels like the end of a very heavy month that just started. Andy. And as you all know, we've been tracking and having conversations for some time now about the deployment of U.S. military into U.S. cities. We, first saw that deployment happen here in our own city in Los Angeles, following the sort of increase in ICE raids that were happening around the city, the deployment of the National Guard, and then ultimately the deployment of the Marines into our city, essentially to do nothing, kind of stand around, right? And I guess present a show of force. We saw the deployment into D.C. Those National Guard remain in our nation's capital. And then, there was the threat of this sort of almost campaign, right? The threat of going into Chicago in a robust response from Illinois elected officials, including the mayor of Chicago, community leaders, labor leaders, et cetera. The president of the United States started to talk about sending the Guard into other cities, all this sort of the pretense of increasing crime, even though the cities that he's noting all have historic lows in crime across the board. He started talking about sending the troops not just into blue states, but into red states, and talked about sending troops into black-led cities in red states. And so now we have learned that there will be a deployment of National Guard into the city of Memphis in Tennessee. And so we're so glad that Tennessee State Representative Vincent Dixie was able to join us to just talk about what is happening. And so Representative, thank you so much for joining. I know that you all have a lot going on right now. I'm hoping you can sort of let us know what you know, sort of bring us up to speed on what you're hearing and what you all are preparing for.
Thank you again for having me. I appreciate you giving this platform and giving us a chance to talk about this. Tennessee, it's always something going on here. You talk about having your hands full. Tennessee is a heavy place to live in, especially being a Democrat. And being a black person in Tennessee is pretty rough, too. But whatever it is Republicans can think of, they try here first. Like what's going on in Texas, they tried it here first 5 years ago. We're like the guinea pig. So this is a lot going on right now. And this is like the playbook that they're doing. They're going into, now they have the interest of a governor, of a Republican governor of the red state, but they come into the blue dots. And it appears and it appears that they only target black-led cities. And everybody. Memphis has its issues. Nashville has its issue. Every city in this country has its issues.
Right.
But these attacks seem very targeted right now.
Right.
And we're doing our best. We have good leadership. Things are going down. But when you have people who are, especially the Republican leadership, who seem to bend over backwards for Donald Trump to try to get in his good graces, it's disgraceful. And it's hurtful. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I'm sorry. No. You please continue.
Yeah, and I was just saying that it's just disgraceful what this administration does. Governor Bill Lee, has time and time proven that he's a lackey for Donald Trump. And we are supposed to be in control of our own state. One thing that Republicans have always, I've been in the state legislature for 4 years. I mean, for 4 terms, so almost 8 years.
Yeah.
They've always preached states' rights. We don't bow down to the federal government. We don't bow down to the federal government. But for some reason, during this administration, they will do whatever the federal government says.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's, because when we think about this, and we'll talk about this more when we come forward, but the reality is if the governor thought that there was such a problem in Memphis or any other city in Tennessee that it required the National Guard to be sent in, he could have done it himself. He didn't need for the President of the United States to call up the National Guard. He could have just done that. And I think that that's where, to your point, we're seeing that this is not, this is not about some large-scale concern about crime being out of control, because the governor would have already taken whatever measures he saw fit in coordination with local leadership to address the issue. He clearly did not see it as an issue before, but now was willing to sort of go along with whatever Donald Trump is saying. We're gonna get into more of what you all are hearing. I'm interested to hear what folks are hearing, what you're hearing from folks on the ground, and if there is worry and concern, if there is determination and pushback. I'd like to know, all of that, and hopefully you can share that with our listeners. But we're joined now by Tennessee Representative Vincent Dixie, who will, help us to understand what they are preparing for in Tennessee when we come forward. This is KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the Black Pack.
You're part of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire on KBLA Talk 1580.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy. In 2011, I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind: to help honest folks out of their timeshares permanently. Today, I run Wesley with my 2 sons, a real family business, treating every client and every employee like we'd want our own family treated. That philosophy has helped us grow into the largest, most trusted timeshare cancellation company in the United States. Fortune magazine even recognized us as one of the best places to work. Why? Because we genuinely care. In fact, some of our former clients were so moved by their experience working with us, they joined our team so they could help others to timeshare freedom. If you're stuck in a timeshare, give us a call. Let our family help your family.
Call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit. 800-687-7979. That's 800-687-7979. 800-687-7979.
With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte. Let's preserve Black land stories before they're lost forever. I want to personally invite you to be a part of something historic. As journalist in residence for the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, I've joined forces with powerhouse attorney and social justice champion George Fothery, the man who helped make history by delivering justice to the Bruce family in Manhattan Beach, securing the first known return of land unjustly taken from Black owners by a local government. That victory was monumental, but it was just the beginning. For generations, Black families have acquired land through grit, faith, and determination, only to lose it through violence, legal loopholes, forced sales, and systematic racism. What's been taken goes far beyond dirt and deeds. It's the erasure of wealth, identity, and legacy. That's why we've launched the Black Land Lost Narrative Archive Project, a national effort to collect,
Protect and preserve the stories of Black land lost before they're buried, forgotten, or erased altogether. Because there's power in telling Black stories, there is resistance in remembering, and there's justice in being seen and heard. This is where you come in. We're inviting you to be a part of this historic Black narrative archive. If you or someone you know has experienced land loss, displacement, or forced property sales, your story deserves to be heard and remembered. Your story belongs in this archive. Your truth matters not just to your family, but to our collective future. Visit blacklandloss.org today. Fill out our simple intake form and add your voice to the National Archive of Remembrance, Resilience, and Reckoning. Let's make these stories live on, not in whispers, but on the record. With a KBLA Talk 1580 editorial, I'm Dr. Nicolai Corte, and as always, we welcome your feedback.
Let's get back to more of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
We are talking with Tennessee State Representative Vincent Dixie, and Representative, the government, the federal government, has been using this kind of pretense of crime, right, and crime being out of control, and so that's why they have to go into all these cities because the cities just need help and they just want to clean it up. And one of the things that we know is that all of the cities, including Memphis, right, has seen a decline actually in crime, right, and so it is, and there has been this really, we talked earlier in the show about this sort of, how reality gets distorted, right? And so, you can't believe facts, right? And so now there's this sort of like, well, yeah, that might be what the numbers say, but the numbers aren't really right? Which is all very unfortunate because it just breeds distrust among the populace, right? But I would love your thoughts on what is really happening, right? What is this really about? If you actually have progress being made on public safety.
Well, I represent Nashville, which is probably about 3 hours away from Memphis.
Yeah.
Nashville is the capital, and it's one of the largest cities. And Memphis is where the concentration of Black power is in this state. Mm-hmm. So it's no wonder that they attack the Black power.
Right.
That's what they do. And it's part of a bigger plan, right? It's obviously, if there's other places they could go that have more crime statistics that are higher than Memphis. Mm-hmm. Now, we affectionately joke that Memphis is its own state because they operate a little bit differently down there. I don't know if you've ever been to Memphis.
I sure have.
Love Memphis, and but they operate a little bit differently down there. But the mayor today, Mayor Paul Young had a press conference today. And he talked about, hey, he's been in talks with them, and they're trying to figure out there's really nothing that he can do for these next 30 days. They can only come in for 30 days, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So for these 30 days, they come in, but how do you do that without interrupting the city?
Right.
Enraging people even more that are already on edge. That we still have people that we still don't have jobs.
Right.
They're still struggling to buy groceries.
Right.
They're struggling to pay their bills. And then you add this level of anxiety to this already burdened community. Mm-hmm. And it's stoking the fires, especially on the heels of them worshiping this guy that just passed away.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This is stroking the power. It's just stroking and fanning the embers of trying to start something that's not there. And they're trying to create this story that Black people can't control themselves.
Right.
Black people can't control their city.
Right.
We don't know what to do.
Yes.
We need some kind of outsider help to try to help us. You made a very good point. If Tennessee and Memphis was in such dire need, why didn't the governor say, listen, I have the power to bring in national troops right now. I don't need the federal government to do this.
Right.
I can just handle this on my own.
Right.
So obviously he didn't think it was a problem until somebody else thought it was a problem.
Right.
I always say I'm tired of Tennessee being governed by people who don't live in Tennessee. That's the problem that we have.
Yeah.
People don't have, as an elected official, my job is to represent my people. Whether you voted for me or not, I'm still your state representative.
Right.
My job is to represent your best interests. We get into these positions, we forget why we're here. We get in here for these political aspirations. We want power. We want to keep our chairmanships. But we forget that we actually have the power to change people's lives.
Yeah.
Bringing the National Guard into Memphis, it could be a powder keg ready to explode.
Right. Well, I'm wondering.
But
I'm just wondering. I'm wondering what you're hearing from folks, whether it's folks from Memphis or folks in Nashville, Black Tennesseans, about what they are thinking and feeling about this moment right now. Because I think, to your point, people are on edge, and sort of the economic conditions are getting worse for folks, right? Prices continue to go up. We're seeing the impact of Trump's economic policies, which are not good for most folks. We're seeing unemployment, especially Black unemployment, kind of skyrocket here. And so you have those economic issues, but then people are also clear about the politics that are playing out in our country right now, and that puts people on edge too. So I wonder what you're hearing from your constituents, or what you're hearing from folks, Black Tennesseans across the state, about what this might mean, because obviously they haven't said this, but it could have been Memphis, it could have been Nashville, right? In terms of where they made a decision to send the Guard to.
Oh, make no bones about it, but Nashville is next on the list, even though it's run. We do not have a Black mayor, but it's next on the list. And the one thing I want people to think about: Nashville is the economic generator for this state. We pay the bills for this state. We pay the rent, we pay the electric bill, we do everything for the state, right? You tell people outside of here that Nashville and Tennessee is unsafe, the tourism dollars stop.
Right.
So this is a classic example of cutting your nose off to spite your face.
Yes.
But people, especially Black people, and I've talked with people who have formerly been in the National Guard, that have been in the military, people, especially Black people that I represent, mainly Black people in my community, they're like, there's no need for this.
Right.
We can police our own. We're doing a job. It's not going to, reducing crime is not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 30 days.
Right.
You know, it's like they come in and they don't even have the power to arrest anybody. All they can do is walk around and pick up trash, basically.
Right. Yes,
that's what we've seen. With people, it's the optics.
Right.
That you militarizing a city, and we've never seen that before on U.S. soil. The military is being used to, quote unquote, police the city.
Right.
And people are really offended by that. People are upset by that. And like I said, it's a powder keg that could be ready to explode. Luckily, they have a good mayor in Paul Young. He thinks outside the box. And I think that he's going to do a job with making sure that the local police, the FBI, the people of the DEA, those people are involved in this process, because there's the only way, if you can't work as a collaborative or some kind of consortium, this can go wrong on so many levels. And then they'll be able to say, I told you so.
Yeah. Well, it's, and the mayor's a new mayor too. I mean, I think that's the other thing that folks, should be aware of. I think that's true for Brandon Johnson, as in his first term in Chicago. It's true for Mayor Bass here in Los Angeles. And so we're seeing people being tested, right? That political leadership being tested, but it also, it's not just the political leadership of that individual, right? I think that there's something to be said about the way the lack of respect for local elected leaders, right? Whether those are the city level leaders or the folks at the state level that represent those communities, right? There's something to be said about the lack of respect. And so I wonder what you're hearing from your colleagues, right? Your colleagues that do represent Memphis, who have had their own struggles, right, inside your state legislature with disrespect. What are they saying? What are you hearing from them?
So I kind of want to back up just a little bit. That the state preemption is like the MO for Tennessee.
Yes.
The locals will pass a bill, and it's weird because Republicans are always like we believe in less government and local control. And as soon as our locals pass a bill or some type of resolution to try to take care of their city, the state comes in and preempts it and says, no, you can't do that. Now we're just seeing it we're seeing it done on a federal level. And that my colleagues in Memphis are like, they're fed up. They're listening to their constituents. Their constituents saying, you're doing everything that we don't want, but we don't have any input. Right. And when people get frustrated, that's what I truly believe this administration is, the goal is to try to frustrate people so much that something happens. Yeah. Then they can come in and have a show of force to be like, this is why we have to be here. Right. I told you this is why this place is a powder keg. We have to do this. Right. And I think that's the frustration. So their job is try to keep their communities cool and calm and say, listen, let's just get through this. Let's just get through this for the next 30 days and just prove this man wrong, and we're just moving. But we have to also, and I hate to kick the dead horse all the time, but this is a reason why we have to vote. Because when you have people in these positions, people, especially like in the black community, people feel like the Democratic Party has left them, or there's no place for them in the politics right now, right? So how do we make sure this is an opportunity right now that people are showing that what they really think about and what the power of the vote is? Right. When they start gerrymandering entire states, we saw what they did in Texas, like I said earlier, they did here 5 years ago. Yep. So we've seen it. So if we don't get out and vote, you're going to get what you're going to get. But the whole point of it is to disenfranchise you, to make you frustrated, to make you feel like you don't have. Well, just throw your hands up and just say, you know what? It is what it is. I just got to get through the day. Right. Yep. And that's not true. We have to be forward looking. And like my colleagues in Memphis they're in a tough position right now. Yeah. Because they have to try to keep people calm, cool, and collected. But they also have to be able to legislate and make sure that everybody is doing what they say. Nobody's been provoked, that the actual National Guard is just there. They're just there to observe, basically. And my fear is that they'll use this as a photo op. They'll come in and they'll try to take up homeless, the unhoused, right? And start making these arrests of the unhoused. Right. They say, look, we arrested 200 people. Right, And for what? For just being homeless. That's it. For being unhoused. Because in Tennessee, I don't know if you know, but being unhoused is a felony right now. Wow. Yeah. You can't sleep on certain places, and you can't sleep on, and they take you to jail where you already don't have any money. So how are you going to make bail? You can't
make the bail. Yep.
So,
and I think we've seen
is not good. That's why we have to. I implore people to get out and vote and make. I understand people are registered to vote. We've been registering people to vote since 1960. Right. So yes, people are registered. Right. But what we have to do is educate people, because when I'm talking to people don't want to go into a voting booth and don't know what to vote for, don't know what the issues are, and they don't want to just push a button.
Yeah, that is.
And I know I got us off track. I can get us off track real easy. So.
No. I mean,
back on.
It's all tied together, though. I mean, I think that you're right. I mean, I think one of the things, and even with what's happening right now, the importance of doing education with folks so that they understand what's happening. I mean, people need. We need to be able to help people make sense of what's going on, but also of what role that they can play, right? In this moment. And I think in some ways, I mean, this is sort of the unfortunate part, or ironic, I don't know, something, is that now that we've seen this happen in a couple of cities, and we've seen kind of the response in a few cities, in some ways you all have some lessons learned, right? And so I appreciate you saying that part of the role of your colleagues is to help people to stay calm, right? To not sort of feed into, sort of give them what they want. But I imagine that you all must also be thinking about other ways of organizing. I know that we saw in Chicago, we've seen, clergy come together, right, to do know your rights and civil disobedience trainings, and really be quite forceful, right, in their rhetoric about what this moment is, and helping their congregations understand that. I wonder if you all are seeing the same thing. And I know that this is also new, right? It isn't like they've been threatening Memphis for a month, right? But I'm wondering who is coming together beyond the elected leaders to make sure that people are protected and know what to expect.
Oh, there's plenty of grassroots organizations that are working together with the boots on the ground. They're trying to bring people together. But I tell you, the one thing that I'm seeing that's coming from this, we're seeing us black people starting to work together again. We're starting to see that community come together again, right? We're starting to see our power come back together again. And that's one of the things that we have forgotten, that we are powerful together.
Yep.
And we have to work together, and we got to understand that everybody's not at the same place. We got to meet people where they are.
Right.
Everybody's not going to have the same level of thinking, the same level of understanding, but what we can do is we can work together, and everybody has a role to play in this. But it's going to take all of us. Like, sometimes people look to elected officials like we have this magic bullet, that if we just have this, like, oh, here's this policy that's going to make everything better. The policy doesn't work without the people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no, I appreciate
we are here for the people.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And also just because, you all have a long history of civil rights leadership, both across the state, certainly in Nashville. And so I imagine, and I know that infrastructure still exists, maybe differently, but those organizations are still there. Those networks are still there. You all continue to provide leadership, not only, in the state of Tennessee, but nationally that we've seen over the last a couple of years. So, I wish you all the most luck in dealing with this situation that nobody asked for, but everyone is now confronted with. And again, because of the history of civil rights leadership, I know that you all will do what needs to be done, and appreciate you taking the time, particularly in a moment like right now when you have so much on your plate. And I know you and your colleagues are trying to figure out how to keep the people of Tennessee safe. So I appreciate you joining. Hopefully you'll come back and give us some updates.
Oh, well, definitely. We just got to make sure that we continue to fight. Don't get distracted by some of these things that are going on. And the one last thing that I want to say, release the Epstein files.
There you go. You said, let's bring it on back. Let's bring it on back to what this is really about.
Right. At the end of the day, let's not lose focus.
Right.
All right. That's
right. No, we appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining. On the other side, we're going to take it to Missouri and talk with Nimrod Chappell Jr., the head of the state NAACP conference in Tennessee, about the mid-decade power grab that is happening in the state of Missouri. This is KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to the Black Pack.
More of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire on KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Texas Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett is facing backlash after referring to Kayla Hamilton, a murder victim of an MS-13 member, as a random dead person during a House Judiciary debate.
Stop just throwing a random dead person's name on something for your own political expediency.
Republicans slammed the remark as disrespectful while defending the proposed Kayla Hamilton Act, which will require background checks for unaccompanied migrant children. New York City mayoral frontrunner Zoran Mamdani says he regrets calling the NYPD racist. He told the New York Times his 2020 remarks came amid frustration during the Defund the Police movement, adding they don't reflect his campaign and that the police are vital partners. And customs officers in Baltimore intercepted a stolen $237,000 Caterpillar bulldozer bound for Ghana. During a routine check, the VIN matched a report out of Carroll County leading to the seizure. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Tough and Downey, a car flipped over on the 5. This is southbound before Paramount. Right lane blocked. Delays on way from the 710 freeway. Also slowing in Pomona. This is a wreck on the 10 east connected to the 57 south. And delays on the 10 eastbound, backing up from just about Kellogg Drive. Tough out of Ontario. Delays and stretches leaving the 60 all the way to the 138 in the Cajon Pass.
See and buy snakes, lizards, turtles, frogs, and more at the Reptile Super Show this weekend, September 13th and 14th at the Anaheim Convention Center. Experience the world's largest reptile expo and sale at this educational family fun event. Info and tickets at reptilesupershow.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Rams and Chargers are on the road for week 2 of the NFL season. The Rams are at Tennessee on Sunday, 10 a.m. kickoff Pacific time on CBS. The Chargers are in Las Vegas Monday night to take on the Raiders, 7 p.m. kickoff on ESPN. A very important college football baseball game Saturday night for 0-2 UCLA. The Bruins are at home against New Mexico. A loss to New Mexico could make things uncomfortable for Bruins head coach Deshaun Foster, who's only in his second year. The UCLA defense has to do a better job of getting off the field. The Bruins are next to last in the nation in allowing third down conversions. 7 p.m. kickoff on the Big Ten Network. USC is at Purdue Saturday, 12:30 kickoff on CBS. The best HBCU game tomorrow, 2-0 Albany State is at Florida A&M. Florida A&M is looking for their first win. The Rattlers are 0-2 for the first time in 3 years. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on. Come to
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Dropping it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
So many things, big and little, make you uniquely you. Your hobbies, dreams, career, family, and more. Addiction to drugs, including opioids and stimulants, can strip these away from you. Recover your life. Choose treatment for drug addiction and get back to what matters most. Find a provider and proven treatment option that's right for you at ChooseChangeCA.org. Recover you.
If you're an African American mom who is pregnant or have a baby under 6 months old, you deserve care that lifts, listens, and lasts. Black Infant Health is for you. It's a free program with individual support, group sessions, and resources to start your mothering journey. BIH makes space for moms and their families to create community. Learn more about the programs in Los Angeles County. Check us out at blackinfanthealth.org.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project. Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Are you ready to be a part of the conversation that will help shape our nation's future? Get ready to join us for the Left Coast Forum, Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech, where progressive voices will come together to tackle the issues that matter most to working families across Los Angeles and beyond. From economic justice to climate action, from healthcare to housing, we're bringing together the brightest minds and most passionate advocates for real solutions and real change. With workshops, 2 major keynote addresses, and a closing reception with great music and good food. It's the Left Coast Forum, where your voice matters and your ideas take action. Saturday, October 25th at LA Trade Tech. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the LA Progressive. The future won't wait, and neither should you. Mark your calendar now to be there and be heard. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details.
You're inside the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire on KBLA Talk 1580.
We have been tracking this mid-decade redistricting power grab since Texas, I guess, picked up the phone when Donald Trump called and asked them to find him 5 more seats, and they said, "Yes, sir. How quickly can we do it, sir?" And then California responded, and in some ways we sort of knew that this, was going to continue to move sort of from state to state. And there was a list of states that were saying, other red states that were saying, yes, we'll do it too. And I'm not sure that the news has sort of captured in the sort of back and forth sort of Texas versus California. I'm not sure the news, cable news or otherwise has been tracking the fact that other states have indeed been moving forward in trying to figure out how they can peel off more seats for Donald Trump. And so joining us now, we have the Missouri NAACP State Conference President, Nimrod Chappell, to talk about what has happened in Missouri. In some ways, while folks have been kind of sleeping. So thank you so much, President Chappell, for joining us to talk about this issue. Can you tell our listeners where things stand now in Missouri as the bill moved through the lower chamber, I think past the upper chamber? You all also had some demonstrations, I think, that unfortunately didn't get covered in the same way as the Texas Democratic state legislatures fleeing the state got lots of coverage, but there was demonstrations by your Democratic elected leaders as well that didn't get so much covered. But where are we now? What can you tell us?
Absolutely. I can tell you that unlike some of the other states like Texas, and I suspect some other states that are along the way, Missouri has been, in my view, at the tip of the spear. And I say that because instead of waiting for the redistricting action to pass the House and the Senate and be ratified into law, which I'm going to tell you, in Missouri, there are very specific constitutional provisions on when you can redraw the map. Article 3, Section 45 very clearly says that you're only supposed to do it after the census or some congressional action. Right. The last time it happened was in 2002. So the NAACP filed a lawsuit to stop the the session from going forward, the special session. Yeah. And part of the reason was that there's also another constitutional provision about when you can even call a special session. The governor said, hey, let's redraw the map and we're going to have a special session, and it wasn't even constitutional. So that's pending before the court, having a hard time getting that heard and determined. Today at around 3 p.m., the Senate just completed its so-called work in approving the redistricting proposal and taking away the initiative petition process from the people of Missouri.
Yeah.
So that's where we are.
Yeah. And so we can see one of the ways that we try and talk about what's happening with these redrawing of maps is this. They're not randomly redrawing, lines around any old seats, right? Both certainly in Texas, I think also in Missouri, but I'm going to ask you, and you can tell me, I think what they're considering in Indiana and in other states, Florida, South Carolina, they are very intentionally redrawing the district lines of black members of Congress. And so when we think about right now, we have a historic number of black representatives in the United States Congress. This illegal racial gerrymandering that's happening is being done in a way that will reduce black representation in Congress. And in Missouri, I believe, right, that is also what's happening for the districts in the way that the Republicans are trying to redraw those lines.
And thank you so much for not only covering this, because that is exactly what's happening in Missouri. They're redrawing the 1st and the 5th district in ways that will eliminate the ability for perhaps Democrats, but for certainty, black Democrats being able to move forward and represent the people of this great state. When you look at what's happening in the 5th, we can see that the total white population under the new map, right, is going to be 89.5%, whereas previously it was, it was more 50-50. It was more of an even stretch, which our politicians are versatile. They're willing to represent the people that elect them.
That's right.
But this new map would eliminate the possibility that we'd be able to do that with a Republican-Democrat mix that would now be 73.7% Republican and only 25.1% Democrat, and supposedly cover one of the largest landmass urban areas in the entire state.
And that's Kansas City?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and
yes,
so
ma'am.
we're talking about the elimination of Congressman Emmanuel Cleaver's seat. Right. I think that's the, as we look at all these, again, whether it was Texas or this map, it really does. And I know this is an, issue that is, close to the work that the NAACP does, which is making sure that not only we don't see a reduction in Black voting power, right, but that we also don't see intentional reductions in Black representation in our government bodies. And so talk about that a little bit, because I feel like that gets lost in the conversation because it seems like we're just talking about lines.
Right. This is anything but lines. If you look at the Kansas City map as they passed it, it goes along Troost Avenue. And if you've been to Kansas City, we've got great blues, great barbecue,
yes,
but we also have an incredible divide. If you were on the eastern side of Troost, then you are mostly going to be in the Black and brown population. What this does is it dilutes the voting voices of that area and includes them as far east as Cole County, right? And Osage County. And those two counties, very rural, right? Now, Cole County is the seat of state government, but at the same time, you don't hear Black and brown voices in the way that you would expect to in Kansas City. All those people who pay their taxes have a legitimate right to government, not just services, but to a government that is servicing the people and the needs of the people, lose their voice and will be diluted by more rural voices, which also deserve representation, but sometimes you can't do two at the same time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I wonder, sort of how people are responding to this, right? Because we did see the protest of, I think, 3 or 4 freshman state legislators. I'm wondering what you're hearing from members across the state about what this means for their communities.
I first want to give a great shout out, if that's not too old, to Ray Reed, Joni, Jeremy Dean, and Lily Fuchs, the 3 representatives who have held the floor. Right. That's a great expense to them, using up not only personal lives but the political capital to call the people's attention to this important issue. Because we are losing our voices. There's just no doubt about it. This week on the 10th, we had thousands of people come down to Jefferson City from Kansas City, St. Louis, and around the state, to be very honest, because people are concerned that this overreach of local government, of state government, into what should be local government issues and local governance to allow the representatives elected there at home to do their work. Now, and I'm going to connect this in a way that I think is unique to Missouri, because in Kansas City and in St. Louis, we have lost control of police departments to fat cat politicians. That's right here in Jefferson City, nominated by the governor. Now, the argument is that we always hear local control. That's a very Republican mantra, unless the local folk happen to look like you and me, Black and brown.
Right.
They're going to snatch representation, tell you who's going to use your tax dollars many times against you in ways that they are not being held accountable, and then tell you it's your problem in the process. That's the same thing that's going to happen with redistricting in Congressional District 5 and 1. They're going to dilute the representative voice and prevent the people from being heard, just so that the local issues that really matter to people, like health care, education, economic development, the things that citizens of the state actually rely upon, never mind have a voice when it comes to making sure that industry is not left out, that broadband is accessible by everyone, and that we are part of tomorrow, not just a foregone conclusion of today.
So I appreciate you naming the 3 representatives. Thank you very much, because they really did. They were really, doing all that they could. And I think that what you said, as a great expense to themselves. And folks say that Democrats aren't fighting back, and then when they do, we don't even see it, right? And so I appreciate you lifting that up. And when we come forward, I want to talk about the point that you just made about sort of connecting the dots, right? And particularly around the loss of control of police forces at at a time when both St. Louis and Kansas City are on Trump's list of places to send the military to. So when we come forward, we're going to continue this conversation with Nimrod Chappell, the NAACP State Conference President in Missouri. Stay with us.
You're part of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least like to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilmember Curran Price, inviting you to the 30th anniversary of the Central Avenue Jazz Festival, Saturday, September the 20th, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. We've got 4 pavilions, 3 stages of live music, plus food, fun, and a marketplace all along historic Central Avenue between MLK Boulevard and Vernon Ave. Our featured acts this year are Gregory Porter, Pancho Sanchez, and Jasmine Horn at the 30th anniversary of the Central Avenue Jazz Festival, Saturday, September 20th, 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. along Central Avenue between MLK Boulevard and Vernon Avenue. Come out and bring the whole family because this legendary celebration is free. For more information, go to centralavjazzfest.com. I'm LA Councilmember Curran Price, and I absolutely approve this message.
Hey, KBLA 1580 delegation, your health matters to us. We know that information is power, especially when it comes to prevention and treatment. That's why we're proud to introduce the brand new KBLA Health and Wellness Hub. This online space is built just for you, connecting our community to trusted health resources, culturally relevant care, and even access to diverse clinical trials and emerging therapies. Whether you're looking for information on common conditions, mental health support, or just want to stay on top of your wellness journey, we got you. And the best part, it's all on our website at KBLA1580.com. Accessible, empowering, community-focused. So just go to KBLA1580.com and click on the Health and Wellness Hub icon, because knowledge is power and your health is everything. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
Let's get back to more of the Black Pack with Adrianne Shropshire right now on KBLA Talk 1580.
You have been listening to the Black Pack, and we are wrapping up our conversation with Nimrod Chappell Jr., the president of the Missouri NAACP State Conference. And so, President Chappell, we were at the beginning of our conversation, you were sort of giving us the rundown of where things are right now with the measure that would redistrict draw new lines in this sort of attempt to give Donald Trump more Republican seats for the midterm elections next year. So I think you said today, this afternoon, the Senate passed the measure, and so now does it go on to the governor to sign, or is there some possibility to disrupt, or is it sort of a done deal at this point?
Yes. It does go on to the governor, but I still think that there's an opportunity to disrupt their court proceedings. The one that we're currently in is to, we intend to take that to a higher court. Okay. This issue needs to be heard to determine the constitutionality before we ever get to the math or the ability of the Senate or the legislature to pass the math.
Right.
There's also a signature gathering effort on a citizens referendum that would allow the citizens to finally have their voice before anybody else goes forward with moving the Constitution or the way that it's interpreted.
Right.
You know, this past week, more than 2,000 people came to Jefferson City,
Mhm.
which is just incredible to make sure that their voices could be heard. I would hope that the governor would listen to those people and the hundreds and thousands of people that they represent, because Missouri is at a turning point.
Yeah.
It has often been a place that has spread hatred around the state. You think about the Dred Scott decision, think about the Missouri Compromise, where Maine came in as a clean state, Missouri as a slave state.
Right.
We, in 2017, passed a travel advisory simply because if you're black in Missouri, you get treated different as a second-class citizen, and we don't want to see that spread to other states. This local control of police departments in Kansas City and in St. Louis, this is the only place in the country that you find that.
Yeah.
It is devoutly racist and something that Missouri should model as something not to do.
Right.
And I have to tell you that if folks are listening and they were wondering, well, what can we do? If you're in one of these states that are being targeted, I know that Indiana's on the roadmap. Apparently, you look south, a couple more states down there, including Alabama. Listen, stand up right now. Gather your forces, get your people together, get you some lawyers, and go sue them.
Right.
Because the NAACP, we're suing everybody, and we do need to sue everybody. We need to sue them quickly and effectively.
Yeah, and I just want to shout out the NAACP for their great meme game. So if you all follow the NAACP on social media, they had a great meme that just said, "We suing everybody," and then proceeded to do exactly that. So yes, but yeah, I think that we forget that there are different ways that that folks can fight back, and we know that there's all sorts of things in the courts right now. But certainly, as these states try and pass these maps, there will be lawsuits, right? And I know that you all will be in there fighting on that front, on the legal strategy front as well. But I did want to ask you about what I raised just before the break, which is that in addition to the sort of attempting to limit black political power, in addition to the sort of reducing the number of black representatives that we have in the U.S. Congress, we have this other sort of scourge, which is the President of the United States sending in the military into U.S. cities, and not just any old U.S. cities, right, but into black cities and into cities led by black mayors. We were just talking with a state representative from Tennessee about what they are anticipating and they're expecting as Trump prepares to send National Guard to the city of Memphis. And I know that both St. Louis and Kansas City have at different times, right, been mentioned by Trump. There's whatever this list of 19 states he has, or 19 cities that he has. And I'm just wondering for you, your perspective on how all these things are tied in together, and if you all at the Missouri State Conference of the NAACP are preparing for deployment into either or both, right, of those two cities.
Yes, and you have your finger on the pulse. I'll start by sharing that we have sued them as much as we can, but we will keep suing them. We've got 4 suits going right now, 2 in the Missouri Supreme Court about voters' rights, 1 against the Attorney General who's supposed to enforce the law but refuses to when it comes to black and brown people, and then we have this one regarding redistricting and stripping the voices of the people, even through the initiative petition process. We're currently looking at the ability to bring litigation against this effort. Now, I can tell you that right now we've already had news alerts that there is an increased presence of the FBI in St. Louis and Kansas City. Wow. That if you are black and brown and you're in either of those cities, that you're at greater risk of being picked up in measures that are only designed to grab people by color. We know what ICE is doing.
Well, the Supreme Court just gave them the authority to do so. Yeah.
That's exactly right. This is now more than anything else a time where, like my grandmother, who literally picked cotton on somebody else's property so that my family at that time could fund the litigation that became Brown versus Board of Education. If you've got $5, if you've got $50, or if you're one of those people that are blessed to have $50,000 and you care about democracy, you want to make sure that black and brown people not only continue to thrive, like participate in the economy, get educations and access to some kind of health care, but have the ability to live, just flat out live as citizens in this democracy with basic constitutional rights. It's time to get on board. Nobody else is coming to save you.
Mm-hmm.
The government has left the door, and we are the only ones standing inside the house, and the damn thing's on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Now is the time to act.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're in one of these states that's being targeted, and you're sitting back and you're wringing your hands and you're thinking, well, I hope somebody does something,
right.
Well, wait for them to come to your door, because that's the next thing that's happening.
Right, and I think that's so important, because even when this Texas conversation started, we certainly heard lots of people say, well, that's Texas, and they crazy down there, right? And that's what they do, right? But without acknowledging that this is a national strategy. This is not about one state or another, and so I appreciate your saying to folks the moment is here for you too as well. I assume that means that state conferences in NAACP state conferences around the country then are preparing to deal with either the redistricting or the deployment of troops into the cities where they are.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. And let me be just abundantly clear. While the NAACP is a mechanism for change, we agitate, litigate, and legislate. Now is the time that we've got to make sure that each individual, whether you're a member or a non-member,
mm-hmm.
join together with the NAACP and make sure that your voice is heard. If you've got the time, donate the time. If you've got the money, give the money. If you've got both, you have to give it. Don't think that the NAACP is going to spring up against $1 million interest,
mm-hmm.
right? That
mm-hmm.
Because these are based on commerce and industry. People are making money off of our backs, right? They have been in the past. They're continuing to do it. Now, you have got to get up and do something is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
And join the NAACP, join another organization, but do it right now.
Yeah, and importantly, it is important, and I'll highlight that NAACP is partnered with lots of organizations, both national organizations and local organizations in every community. And in some communities, there's nothing there but the NAACP. But where there are other, progressive Black organizations, churches, D9 organizations, NAACP is working with those folks. So I appreciate you coming on and talking about the various strategies that you are employing and just bringing us up to speed on what's happening in the great state of Missouri. So President Nimrod Chappell Jr., the president of the NAACP State Conference in Missouri, appreciate you joining us, and hopefully you'll keep us up to speed on what's happening as all this sort of plays out in state.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'll make sure that we share not only the existence of your great podcast and program throughout the state of Missouri, but the relevance of the issues. And I want to thank you for holding those up nationally and making sure that this is not buried underneath the death of some racist or other trending national news that's got nothing to do with the lives of real people.
Right. Well, we appreciate you for joining, and I appreciate all of you for listening in on another Friday. I know it's been a tough week, a heavy week of news, but I hope that everyone finds some way to take care of themselves this weekend, and that you join us next weekend, or next Friday, I should say, right here from 46 p.m. on KBLA Talk 1580. Enjoy your weekend.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass is pulling her bill to revise the city's mansion tax. The tax on property sales over $5 million funds affordable housing. Bass wanted exemptions for apartments, shopping centers, and warehouses, but critics say it would cut proceeds. She plans to reintroduce the bill in January after amendments. Fresno Unified in California has